All right, so I'm here with Nicole. Thank you so much for joining me today. And we're going to go through a couple career questions. But first, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, then we will get started with the questions.
Okay, thank you for inviting me to do this. I'm excited. I'm excited about my career and especially my education and how that's kind of worked for me. My name is Nicole Ramirez Thomas, and I'm an archaeologist and historic preservation specialist. And I have had quite a lot of transitions in my career. I studied anthropology for both my bachelor's degree and my master's degree. And now I own my own business. So a lot of transitions in my career.
So, okay.
All good.
So you mentioned a little bit already about what your career path has been. Will you talk a little bit more about what the whole path was like? What was your education like? And what jobs have you had along the way to get you to where you are now?
Sure. So I started out when I think it was my senior year. I had a history teacher that really kind of captured me. And I thought that I would go into history when I went to college. When I got to college and I went to community college in the town that I grew up in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in order to get through my basic credits in a more affordable way. And I was the first person in my family to go to college. And so it was also a really good way for me to meet that transition and learn about FAFSA and just the whole college realm. And so I took a couple of semesters of classes. The second semester, I took an anthropology class, and I was like, this is what I want, because it marries history with human behavior, because I love watching how humans behave. Then I was offered the opportunity to go to northern Mexico for an archaeological field project. Anthropology has four subfields, which are archaeology, physical anthropology, linguistics, and cultural anthropology. And so as an anthropologist, you specialize in one of those things. So I got the opportunity to go to Mexico with one of my professors, and I was hooked at that point. It was so much fun to be out in the field. We excavated the first summer that I went down there and a couple other subsequent summers. And I just loved being outside, and I loved thinking about how people lived in the past and how it's the same and how it's different from the future. So after community college, I went to University of New Mexico, which was one of our state schools, and finished my BA. And then I took 3 years off and worked in the field, doing field archaeology, because that's how you start out in archaeology, is you work a lot in the field. And it's kind of grunt work because you're doing all the physical labor, and then you transition into more like project management roles over your career. But when you're young, you're always glad to just be in the field and for the adventure. It's a lot of fun. So after 3 years of working, I decided to go back to school and get my master's degree. And I went to Chico State and studied more archaeology there, and specialized in animal bones and how people hunted. And so, yeah. And then from there, I did more archaeology, but more on a project management level. Then I transitioned into state and local government work, in terms of historic preservation stuff and planning. And 4 years ago, I got the opportunity to open my own small consulting firm. So a lot of changes. So.
Nice. That's super interesting. So what do you do with your consulting firm currently? What are the types of jobs, or what's your day-to-day look like there?
So my day-to-day is a lot of Zoom meetings, kind of helping people plan projects. So for instance, I have a project where my client is creating a new bus stop. And so it's a transit project. So I work to help them meet the federal and local compliances for their project in terms of the historic preservation and other environmental, like more broadly. and then help them with public meetings and plan those types of things, do some of the outreach, prepare applications for them. And then if there's an archaeological component, then I'll also do the archaeological work. So, and then some projects are, a developer is going to develop some land. They have to get their entitlements. And part of that is historic preservation or archaeology, and I'll help them with that. So those types of things.
Cool. So I jumped around a little bit, and you mentioned that you've gone through your master's degree, but what type of education is required to break into archaeology or the related field?
So a bachelor's degree is definitely needed for that. And then during that time while you're doing your schooling, when I was in school and college, you could find a field school or field opportunity that you didn't have to pay for. More commonly now, students pay for the field experience to go learn like kind of the basics. But that's a good thing to do and well worth it if you're going to pursue archaeology, or the other subfields require less field work. And so it depends on which subfield you choose, how much you'll be out in the field, but all of them have a field component because you're always working with people to understand human behavior.
Okay. Interesting. What types of skills or personal qualities are important in your line of work?
I would say being flexible, being able to work with a variety of different people. In particular, you have to work with other cultures. So you're working with Native American groups, or in Mexico, we worked with people that were, locals in their community and had a long history. So you really want to be respectful always, I would say. You also want to be sure to have fun, because the field work can be kind of grueling at points. And if you can always just appreciate the fact that you're getting the opportunity to go out and study a past culture, that's really great. Being organized helps you get ahead in the career, like being able to organize projects. You'll learn spatial skills, like mapping, because you have to map archaeological sites. You'll learn about deep time and the depth of things. Our anthropologists have like a really broad philosophical background as the base of anthropology. And then when you pick your subfield, then you learn a little bit more about like in terms of archaeology, geological processes, environmental change over time. And so you can really mold your interests into the career path pretty easily with anthropology, and in a really interesting way. So
you're really making me wish I would have studied anthropology right now. Sounds really cool. So talk a little bit about two things. So first, what's your favorite part of your job, or what are you excited about right now? And what's the most challenging part of your job, or what surprised you the most, or about your career in general?
I think the thing that surprised me the most was that when I went in, I loved traveling and I loved the field work so much. I would say in my late 30s, I became very tired of that. And so that was part of the transition. So it's a lot of fun when you're young to travel and get to see places, even really small towns in the United States, like spending time in these areas, or just getting to know an area or a piece of land really well because of the work that you're doing. Those things are exciting. So I still enjoy those things, but I don't want to be traveling all the time at this point. So that was like something I was surprised that I got tired of. I thought I could just travel for forever. And then the thing that I love the most is working with my clients. So I love looking at their project, kind of determining all the things that they might need that I can help them with, and then then us working through all that process. So definitely working with the clients is my favorite part. So.
If you were to go back and do everything all again, would you take the same route to your current career?
I thought about this question and, and I was like, I really can't imagine it having turned out any differently or really making too many different decisions. There's points where I might have been a better student.
Yeah.
I might have made the decision to be a better student.
All of us.
Yeah. And so, but I think that I learned a lot from that too, which is that, so when I was in graduate school, I also taught physical anthropology labs. And a lot of students were really focused on getting the A.
Yeah.
And I would always tell them, don't focus on the A, focus on how much, like what you're learning, like how much are you getting out of this? And so I think that had I discovered that for myself a little bit earlier and taken that pressure of the grades off, that would have been a big deal. And then because I worked all the way through college, I didn't finish my bachelor's degree until I was 27. Then I took the few years off, and then I didn't finish also because I was working my master's degree until I was 37. So it took a long time to kind of get through, but I was really committed and very persistent to getting the degrees, and then loved all the opportunities that I had along the way, just different field projects, introduction to different people, learning new skills, like all of those things. In thinking about what I would have done different, I don't know if I would have done any of it differently. I really love the history of my career for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for somebody who wants to pursue a similar field?
Yes, I would say if you're anthropology is broadly applicable. Like I was saying, like it's one of those degrees where you'll learn so much that you can use it to help you in any job or career path that you might choose after you finish your bachelor's degree. Persistence, and then not focusing on getting that A, but rather like on what you're learning and how it's going to like serve you, because getting a degree is a personal achievement. And so you should be sure that you're clear about what it is that you want to get and what you're trying to get out of your degree. And then in terms of starting in anthropology, get your basic classes out of the way. And then if you want to start engaging in field projects, look for opportunities. I think all states now have a cultural resources stewardship program that people can sign up for, where they go and kind of monitor an archaeological site or cultural site to make sure that it's not getting abused in any way. That's one way to engage. And then there's different paths, like you can choose kind of the more contract cultural resource management path like I did, or you can choose the more academic where you might be working more in a university or college setting. And so when curating your classes, I would think about which path you're interested in taking, and then realize that it might change. And that's okay.
Yep.
So
that's really good advice.
Good. Yeah.
And then finally, would you give your 18-year-old self any advice? Is there anything you wish you would have known when you were starting out on your life path?
I think that this was a hard question for me to think about too. In retrospect, I would not take myself too seriously. I think, like, realize that you're learning, and that learning is something that you can do over the course of your life, and it's not like this one semester where you have to do everything and cram everything into your head. That you'll build on your knowledge as you go through your life. And so I think I would have taken the pressure off of myself a little bit when I was 18, but also made sure to go to class every day. Attendance is like number one. Yes. So be responsible, but not too serious.
Yes. Well, I hope lots of students watch this because you've had really good insights and good advice, and your career sounds super interesting. Thank you so much for sitting down with me and chatting.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. I'm happy to.
Yeah, thank you. All right, take care.